Hello everyone, it is a very good day. Hope you're enjoying your weekend. I am Wayne Gerard. Today we're going to take a look at the lineups for Atalanta Roma, what happened after Roma Feyenoord in the locker room, as well as some financial implications for Roma in the Europa League going forward, what they've made, and let's just break it all down. Unbelievable after that match as Arne Slot refuses to shake the hand of Jose Mourinho, and this pushed the tactician to follow him in the tunnel after the game, yelling, "Respect, respect." You could even see it on video. And you know what he also yelled? Maybe you should look at the way that Roma played too, and not just Napoli and Manchester City, as the Dutch manager had said infamously now going into this one. And then afterwards, the Sky Sports commentator asks him, he says, we want your opinion on things. We have a lot of champions here. Mourinho turns to him to says, "Oh, Cassano isn't there, is he?" Oh, that's a spicy burn if I ever knew one. Then about the 15-point penalty with Juventus, and he said, after he's acknowledged that it has been returned, he says, "They were not given the points back 3 months ago. I've been in Italy for 4 years, not for 4 days." And then, as you saw, he gives the keychain back to the Dutch reporter. Now, Mourinho took a lot of slack going into this one. They really teased, and I think took a lot of cheap shots at him. And Mourinho, right on point, gives him the keychain during the conference. Like, that's classic. You know what? It's not malice. It's not like he's being nasty. He's just giving it right back to them. And I think that the Feyenoord team, manager, and reporters deserve that. You know what? You're going to go at the king. You best not miss, as they say. Okay, so how about these financial implications? What has Roma made so far in the Europa League? So it looks like it's 3.6 million as a participation bonus, 3.9 due to the historic ranking, around 3.7 from the market pool, the players that are in there, the teams, 2.2 in bonuses, 0.5 from reaching the playoffs, 1.2 from reaching the round of 16, 1.8 for reaching the quarterfinal, and 2.8 for reaching the semifinal, with 5 million euros being deducted in fines. Now, my question here is that last thing here. 5 million euros being deducted in fines for financial fair play and not completely complying. Why are you penalizing a team financially when they're not making enough money? That's the whole point, is you put more money back into the team, right? Into the ownership. But instead, you're taking away as a financial penalty. That's like, oh, I didn't pay enough. Okay, your penalty is that you have to pay more. It doesn't make any sense when it comes to footballing terms. Help me understand this. It's ridiculous, and it seems like financial fair play applies to some, but not all. And some sponsorships are legitimate, but not all of them. And what can count? And ridiculous, guys, if I'm totally honest with you. Let's look at Atalanta Roma. First off, Lookman, who is, I think, the third highest scorer in Serie A, or second. Adamo Lookman, he's been great this season after coming over from England. He's going to miss this one with a hamstring injury. But we've got some pretty good stats going into this too. Roma have won just 3 of their last 16 Serie A matches against Atalanta, losing 7, and that's the highest figure here, drawing 6. Although they won the most recent encounter, and that was Bergamo, who won the previous meeting of 1-0 in Rome, and have not earned 2 consecutive clean sheets against Roma in the top flight since 1965. So signs would point that this is not going to be a clean sheet. However, you look at the most recent 16, and the most frequent occurrence is a loss with 7 there. That's shocking. Just 3 wins if you do the math. Roma won their last Serie A away match in Bergamo 4-1. That came in December 2021, but have not earned 2 successive wins at Atalanta in the top flight since 2001. Thirdly, Atalanta have earned just 14 points across their 11 matches in the second half of the season. I have seen this Atalanta play quite a few times. They're very much not the same one that came out with Scalvini getting that goal against Roma, against the run of play. They're not the same one, and they seem to have really hit a rut in their play. Gasparini's tactics perhaps are just, I don't want to say that they're fading or they're lacking. I just think that this Atalanta is not the same one of Ilicic and Papu Gomez. They've fallen off quite a little bit. In each of the previous seasons of the Gasparini era, the Bergameschi have always done better in the second half of the season, so this one goes against the grain. Roma, fourth here, have registered 3 league wins in a row without conceding. The Giallorossi have not won 4 consecutive Serie A matches since the end of the 2019-20 season, while they have not won 4 games in a row without conceding since October 2013, and that was a run of 7 under Rudi Garcia. So that's, not won 4 games in a row without conceding since 2013. Shows you that these tactics, whether Roma are scoring 100 goals or just a few, nevertheless, teams are having a really difficult time scoring against them. And I'll repeat it. It was that goal against Scalvini in the first half of the season, which just came out of nowhere. And Atalanta had virtually nil aside from that. Fifth and last big stat here. Roma have kept 9 clean sheets across 2023 in Serie A. Only Barcelona, with 11, have kept more in the Big 5 European leagues since the beginning of the year. Napoli, Lazio, and Rome have also kept 9. And we see that's an interesting one here, Napoli and Lazio too. So 3 out of the 5 teams with the most clean sheets happen to be Italian. So if you like following and scouting players, you know all about Rasmus Hojlund. He's super exciting to watch, fast, loves taking players 1v1, gets himself into the box. Sometimes he's compared to Haaland. Yes, okay, because he's Scandinavian, he's Danish, he's big, he's blonde, and he's very effective. This is a player who Atalanta are going to make a stack of money off of. However, he seems to be the only outlet, only goal scorer now that will be on the field, because when you look at Muriel and you look at Zapata, they have just a few goals between them, those two. They've really fallen off in the past year. So Hojlund will be the guy to watch. Will he get that goal against Roma's stingy defense? Will Chris Smalling be starting after his injury? That is up in the air. Will it be Ibanez, Mancini, Llorente? Let's take a look at the starting lineup. So Sportiello comes in after Musso was pulled against Fiorentina. That one ended in a draw. And then we've got Toloi, if you remember, when he played for Roma, when he just came over into Serie A. He was a good defender, and he's developed into a really good one at this point. Djimsiti, the strong center back, strong and fast, and then Scalvini will get the start again. And then in the 5-man midfield, we've got Zappacosta, ex-Roma player again, Martin de Roon, Ederson, Maehle. So de Roon is a really good defensive midfielder there, a guy who started off at Atalanta. That's where he really made his bed and then went out to Southampton, returned, I think about a season later. Ederson came over from Salernitana last season, where he had a very impressive start in Italy. And then Maehle, the wingback, who's a decent little player they've got going on there. And Koopmeiners, who I didn't mention that for. Koopmeiners is a player who I would have loved to have in Rome. Atalanta get him. What are you going to do? But he's also an excellent Dutch center midfielder and somebody that the Netherlands should have relied on a little bit more in the World Cup, and they paid the price for not, in my opinion. And then up top, as I mentioned, Hojlund and Zapata over Muriel, and Zapata being the set starter there, someone who always gets the nod, with Muriel, a player who's overweight and honestly just can get like 25 minutes good out of him at this point. So, if he had taken his career a little bit more seriously and fitness, he could have been one of the most effective strikers over the last 20 years in Italy. But nevertheless, he has a lot of talent. It's a guy who, even in his 30s now, mid-30s, can still come on in those 20, 25 minutes and score a goal out of nowhere. He might not have the endurance, but the class is definitely permanent when it comes to Luis Muriel. So Roma's total of 9 victories without conceding in 2023 is a record equaled only by city rivals Lazio and Napoli. Just to repeat there, I don't think this is going to be a high-scoring one. I hope that Roma comes away with it like 0-1, 1-2, I'm hoping is the scoreline. So if you look at the odds, and I'm not encouraging gambling, I don't think you should, but it's predicted to be under 2.5 goals in this match. Ibanez should also return, so look for him to be there, standing in for Smalling as I'm reading the reports now, while Abraham should replace Belotti, who has yet to score in Serie A this season. Also, some notable absences are Matteo Ruggeri for Atalanta, as well as Hans Hatteboer, who was missing out on Monday. So let's see how this one goes, guys. Let me know what you think. Throw in a comment out there. Throw a subscription if this is your first time here. And I'm hoping that this is going to be a really good match. You never know what you're going to get. 2 defensive sides. One that just played their hearts out in Europe. Another which has had a lot of time to regain their fitness, and play just 1 time a week and be able to take more time on the practice pitch, going over tactics and stuff like that. They should be one that's ironed out pretty much by Gasperini at this point. And going into Bergamo, always a difficult stadium, one of the few privately owned ones in Italy, one where the fans get really close in on the action. And Atalanta, a team with a decent pedigree. A lot of these players have been returning for years now. The only one that big two I could think of are Hojlund and Koopmeiners. These are really the only two additions, big ones, that they've had over the past 3-4 years. So this is a team truly with an identity, one that's familiar with how each other play, and Roma will have their work cut out for them. We know we've got the semifinal coming up in the Europa League, so it's very difficult to manage this, but if there's anyone you want in charge right now, it is Jose Mourinho. All right, guys, let's talk after the match. And we'll be live streaming that one for sure. Set your alarms, and I'll put that up on YouTube so you can click the little icon, and it'll give you the reminder.